Hello, listeners, and welcome to another edition of AV Club, or Miskatonic AV Club, a Mythos Busters production. My name is Scott. With me tonight is Sean. Sean, how are you?
I'm good, Scott. I'm as we just discussed, working on my second beer in. We're gonna have a nice drinking and deck building episode tonight.
Oh boy. For people who don't follow our uh, TNA or Tuesday Night Arkham, or this day Night Arkham, depending on what day we get, we just finished the second half of Guardians of the Abyss. And I'm not going to give spoilers, but oof,
Hmm.
that was
It was a game.
there was a game that happened and it was fantastic. Um, Post game, I talked to Sean, and there's a deck I've been wanting to build, and I have all these thoughts reeling in my mind about what to build. And I want to build an Akachi deck. I think probably standalone. Like, I want to build the standalone version, and maybe we can, reverse it back to zero for a
Dude,
campaign
that's
build.
I don't know
But,
about you, and maybe it's a discussion for another time. But that's how I build all my decks nowadays. Like I do
hmm,
it Lord of the Rings style, where it's like this is the deck I want to play, and then because I happen to be playing Arkham, it's like okay, well this is the deck I have to start with to get there.
yeah, for me, this is going to be, I think it's probably just going to be a deck I bring to standalones. But for me, it's a Akachi fight me deck, fight me build. I think Akachi has a really good place where she can be an amazing combatant, and I'd love to explore that base. Sean, how much have you played Akachi?
I have played a decent amount of Akachi. She's like honestly, I feel like, and I haven't played Jacqueline yet, but I feel like if you were to sit someone down and try to teach them the game, like Akachi's who you'd hand them to be like, hey, this is how Mystic works, right? Because it's just her ability is nothing. Her ability is just the cards you play in your deck are now better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I've played, you know, a decent amount of standalone and at least 5 to 6 full campaigns with Akachi. So I've, some Akachi experience.
All right. I've played two standalones and one campaign of Akachi. So
Mm,
that's my, and the campaign was very mid-range Akachi. Uh,
sure,
just
sure.
using that willpower to both combat and clues, and uh,
As you do, as you do.
yeah, the standalones were pretty similar. But I feel like
Um,
she's got the now that we have what is it called?
which one?
Spectral Razor. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So Spectral Razor, uh, you add your willpower to your skill value for this attack. She's attacking at an 8. That's
With
before
no
any
extra boosts.
no extra boosts, and you're doing 3 damage essentially. So unless that enemy is elite, so those Brotherhood cultists and all those other guys, you're taking them out in one hit.
Which is pretty solid.
Hmm.
And so, okay, so one quick thing before we actually start talking about the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm about to start a Forgotten Age campaign after I finish the Dunwich campaign I'm currently on. I
Hmm.
have a burglary Jenny that I'm bringing,
Mm-hmm.
who is flexy but kind of clue focused because she wants to do investigation things because burglary. Akachi is who I'm going to bring with her. I
Hmm.
have a deck built already, but I'd be happy to sub it out with this one because if this is going to be more clue focused, I might sub out like one or two. Or sorry, if this deck is going to be more enemy focused, I
Mm-hmm.
might sub out like one or two clue cards just to pick up some extra slack. But I'd be excited to try this out.
Yeah. So my initial idea for this was a 19 XP ish
Okay.
standalone deck. But
Ooh,
let's build the 19 XP, and then we can maybe rewind it back, because I think there's a few things like shriveling level 3 that can
sure,
easily be wound back. So,
sure. So to your mind,
mhm.
so okay, so I know we talk about this all the time. Like, do you build the skeleton and then build out till you hit 30? Do you put 80 cards in the deck and then chip down? I have gotten to a place where I kind of do both.
I
I always
build.
pin I pin down what are the key cards that I know will never get cut from this deck because they are this deck.
Mhm.
And then from there I build out to 80 and then cut back down.
That's kind of what I do. So I'd say I pick the key cards, and
Mhm.
then I build out a bunch of cards. I usually hit like 40-ish, and then I
Okay.
come back 40 to
Sure.
50.
Sure.
Um, so since this
Depending on the
is
investigator, of course.
yeah. So standalone, I think we probably want Shriveling level 3.
Okay, so key cards. So you're talking about like enemy management, so shriveling is one of those key cards?
Yeah, like she's Battle Mage Akachi,
Okay.
right? Right,
So
you throw Shriveling.
shriveling over oh god. Shards?
I think you put both in.
Or you think Porque no los dos? Okay.
Yeah, like
I can't argue.
do you put more than 2 weapons in a Guardian? Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah.
It's entirely fair.
So I think you put both.
Okay, so
Um,
shriveling 3, Shards of the Void,
I've already put in Spectral Razor.
Spectral Razor, sure. Now, okay, so here's my question. If Spectral Razor is kind of the inspiration for this deck, do we bother to go with like Diana Esperance to like really be able to Spectral Razor, or is it fine as just a 2 of event?
I think it's just fine as a 2 of. Uh, it just kind of rounds out the deck.
Okay.
Um, my goal was to get to 19 experience, maybe 29. And
We're already
Diana,
at 12,
I
so
know. Yeah. Diana would
fair enough.
add another 6.
Okay.
We'd be at 18.
So
My my idea was to put in a level 0 Arcane Initiate.
okay. I don't disagree, but one question I wanted to ask. She's new. I haven't
Mhm.
used her yet. And it feels like maybe in Akachi she might be redundant. But what do you think about Twyla as an ally?
Ooh.
So Twyla is the new level 3 Mystic ally that basically when you use a charge from a spell, you exhaust her to put a charge back on.
Hmm. Part of me thinks no. And the only reason I say that is if we're going to have Shriveling and Shards of the Void, and honestly, I'd put Wither in there. Um, we don't. I'd rather spend the resources on actual spells and the
Sure.
XP on actual spells
Sure.
than just recharging one. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And it was kind of like it was an iffy thing for me too because with Akachi, your normal spells become more efficient anyway. So
Hmm.
okay. So Arcane Initiate.
Yeah.
Do
Hmm?
go on.
No, please. You.
Uh, so if we're talking enemy management Akachi, one of the first cards that springs to my mind is upgraded Enchanted Blade. It might
I
go in the place of one of the other cards we've already picked, but I still think it's a contender for the deck.
I don't like upgrade Enchanted Blade in. I just
Well, you're wrong.
well, I mean maybe
Okay, so why don't you like it though?
I feel like I'm better off playing something like Sign Magic, maybe because Enchanted Blade takes up both hand and arcane slots,
Sure, but what's she gonna be holding in her hands?
right? But when you take something in her hands, it then holds something in her arcane slot. Like Ritual Candles might be better.
Might be, but okay. So here's my argument for upgraded Enchanted
Or
Blade. I've used it.
Spirit Athame.
Spirit, yeah. I've really cooled on Spirit Athame because of its 3 costs, but maybe that's just me. Um, the reason I really like Enchanted Blade is because of odd HP enemies. Like
Hmm.
the ability to and the ability to like dial in your damage to be able to go anywhere from 1 damage to 3 damage at will plus you get an extra charge. Like, oh god, I actually feel like it's one of the best enemy management cards out of Mist. Someone back me up in the chat here.
The fact is, it bumps out an arcane slot. That's what bugs me.
It would. It would.
You know what? I'll throw it in for now,
Okay.
but it's really close to me not liking it.
That's fine.
Just
It's
saying it.
fine. It might be one that I take in my build and you don't in yours. That's the world
Fair.
keeps on spinning.
What are we gonna do about our the necklace slot, accessory slot?
My instinct. Well, okay, so here's the deal. If we're going hard spells on Akachi, as you
Mhm.
do, I feel like 5 is good to start. You probably want to boost.
The Holy Rosary.
I like that's my instinct.
Me
The
too.
only other thing I'm thinking about is if we're including cards that are somewhat released but not quite yet released. Are we including Weaver of the Cosmos cards? Because the Shining Trapezohedron, I think I got that right, is pretty solid.
That is not in Arkham DB.
Okay, it's in Weaver of the Cosmos, which a
Okay.
lot of people don't actually own yet. But
And sorry, what does it do?
well, if we're not including it, we're not including it. That's fine.
Well, I'm not sure what. Okay.
Okay.
Spoiler
it's-
alert. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
We were the Cosmos.
Okay, so level 4, 1 cost
Uh-huh.
accessory.
Uh-huh.
When you would pay the cost of a spell, exhaust it, and instead test Willpower X, where X is
right.
the spell's cost. And if you succeed, it's considered paid.
But
Like, it's a really friggin' good card.
but it has no boost, right?
it has no boost, no.
So my and no health or sanity.
Mm-mm.
My knee-jerk reaction is someone says, "Hey mom, we want shiny tetrahedron or whatever." And mom says, "Well, we have shiny tetrahedron at home and we have Holy Rosary and Unquiche the Soul."
I love half drunken Scott speaking in memes.
Yeah.
It does something to me.
Cuz I think we go
Okay, fair enough.
I think we go Holy Rosary.
Okay, that's fair. That was my instinct, so.
And then
I'm not
because
gonna
of
complain.
Holy Rosary, we go Uncage's Soul.
Okay.
Like I think we have enough spells that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, I think I still want to add some more level 0 spells. Well, so
Mm-hmm.
let's see. I think word protection, but oh god, I want this at level 2.
Well, okay, so here's the deal. If you're playing solo, don't bother.
No.
If you're playing particularly high count multiplayer, definitely go for the level 2.
Mm-hmm. Oh, whoops, that's level 5.
Hmm. Okay. We'll pop in level 2.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
How about a storm? I like at least a 1 of storm.
0 or 2?
As far as level?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, Storm is
mean,
3.
Storm is 3.
I like.
I really like 3, but at the same time, 3 deals 2 damage to everyone on a bad stuff, which is worse than some of the worst treacheries.
Yeah, I feel like level 0 Storm. In fact,
Yep.
I'd say 2 of.
2 of? Okay, I'm fine with 2 of for
Like
now.
this to me is something you bring to Arkham Knights. You're sitting down a 4-player game, like we need an enemy guy or enemy management person, and you get Akachi.
Mm-hmm. So far we're at 22 experience.
Yep.
If we cut one of the things that are at risk here, like okay, this is where we might just diverge and have to be okay with it. My loadout would be Enchanted Blade and Shards of the Void. I feel like you're leaning Shriveling and Shards of the Void. That's fine. But if we cut 6 XP, we're at 16 experience.
I'd cut Enchanted Blade before I before I cut shards or shriveling.
I know you would, and that's fine.
Okay.
But either way, they cut the same amount, so we can diverge from that path as if we were doing the same thing. We've got, if we're building a 19 experience deck, we've got 3 more to put in. I
No, we
tend
don't.
to
We
like
need to. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, 3 more.
right,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we'd be
Yeah.
at 16.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to like sacrifice for kind of a low level mystic build.
I love sacrifice. I think that card has
Yeah.
been underrepresented a lot.
Yeah, I think it's really only apparent to people who play Mystic a lot how great that card is. So
Mhm.
2 of on that. Start at 2. We can always pull it back.
Yep.
And then maybe stargazing, because stargazing is always good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Maybe we go to 29 experience.
Well, I'm not gonna stop you.
I mean, 29 is my hard cap. I feel like
Sure.
going above that is tempting the gods. So
I'd say 29 is where I stop unless I have a really good reason not to. So I'm fine with that. Okay, so that means we have 10 more to go.
oh, you took out. What did you take out?
Well,
I'm at 26.
we'll be taking out either Shriveling or Enchanted Blade, depending on who you're talking to.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So my asset, I was thinking Wither. And Wither level 0. What do you think of Wither level 4?
I generally like Withering level 4.
But maybe not as much in this deck.
Here's why. Well, exactly. And here's why I generally choose Enchanted Blade for anyone who has 3 combat or higher. Is because it kind of does the same thing as Withering, only a little bit better because you can just boost to extra damage. Whereas Withering's good, but it's really random as to when you get that extra damage, de facto damage out of it.
So do you think Wither level 0 in this deck? Because my whole thing is, like, I just want to be the character that kills everything.
So if we're running 4 copies of damage assets, 2 copies of Storms, 2 copies of Spectral Blade, I honestly would prefer, and this will probably vary depending on your scenario and or campaign, I'd almost honestly prefer a Mists or an Evade spell to help deal with enemies that way. Because, there are some enemies that you don't want to kill.
That's true.
But that is, I will admit, that's way more like scenario specific, so.
I'll throw one of Mists in there.
Okay. Level 0 is fine, I feel.
Yeah. Let's see. Skills. We haven't even touched skills yet.
We have not. So let's see. I don't really think there's anything worth touching for skills on the experience side. So at level 0, Torrent of Power. Like, Akachi's the only investigator where I ever even look at Torrent of Power. What are your feelings on it?
Honestly, I love Torrent of Power only in Akachi, and I would put 2 in.
Okay.
That being said, with assets, I would put in 2 alchemical transmutations for that and for her weakness. No, not the alchemy.
Scry?
What's the one that Agnes had from the core set?
Oh, Forbidden Knowledge.
Forbidden Knowledge.
Secrets, not charges.
Yes. Oh,
but that uses secrets, not charges.
Oh God.
I think alchemical transmutation is the one you're thinking of.
Okay.
Honestly, okay, so confession, the Akachi deck I already have built uses alchemical transmutation, the leveled up version, because I have yet to try it, and it looks like a decent resource engine. So if we wanted to go with it, I'm not going to complain. It's going to come in at, well, it is 2 cost at the leveled up version, but it comes in with 5 charges with Akachi. And you can get some decent resources off of it.
Let's start at the level 0 one.
Okay.
And we'll put 2 in.
Sure.
Because it uses charges, so it comes with 4. And yeah, it's kind of like a backup plan, if anything else.
Sure.
That makes Torrent of Power, for me, a good card. This card is like panned universally.
Torrent of Power?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's great in Akachi. As long as you've got a couple spells where, you're not constantly leaning on them. It's Unexpected Courage plus more because you're going to be using willpower more often than not.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay, so I'm kind of going through. I'm just going down the list of level 0 cards at this point. What do you think about popping in David Renfield here? Do you think we? So here's my thing: is normally when I'm running Doom allies, whether that be Renfield, whether that be Alyssa, whether that be Initiate, my solution for Doom allies, a lot of people go with, a lot of people want to go with your like Moonlight Ritual. My solution is usually other Doom allies because they are then the solution for the one you want to boot out.
Yeah. I put in David Renfield. 2 of. Put him in.
Yep. Sure.
Tentatively.
He might be cut.
Yeah.
He might be cut.
Yeah. We don't have anything in our hand slots yet.
I think Assign Magic is well worth it, personally.
I do. I'm gonna put 2 in for now.
Yep.
Could be cut, but.
And I also tend to really like Scroll of Prophecies and whoever can play it, but this is already getting kind of asset heavy, so I think it might be a little slow.
Yeah.
So
And
I think I'd skip it.
Yeah, I think so.
Normally I really like it though.
Well, let's put it in.
Okay.
And we can cut down. Because we're only at 33 cards right now. Let's go back to skills because we have Prophesy, which we don't want, Fearless, Enraptured, Defiance.
I feel like level 0 Defiance isn't worth it. If we want to look at level 2, especially for standalones, that might be worth a glance.
I think that really depends on your standalone, and even then, I think it's iffy.
That might be card like 31 and 32.
Okay. Events.
Premonition, of course.
Yeah, we gotta put in Premonition.
If we cut it, but we probably won't because it's great. We've already got level 2 Ward. Do you bother with Deny?
Let's put it in.
Okay.
But I don't think we do.
Yeah. And I think that's through the level 0 stuff. I'm looking at what she can take from the other. She can take Hollowed Mirror.
Oh right.
Which honestly, but we've got Rosary.
Yeah, she's off on her own fighting stuff. So Hollowed Mirror is like, I'm gonna help you guys. But yeah, no.
She can take Decorated Skull, and she is the one investigator who comes in with charges on it. But I still think no.
Yeah, no.
She could take Occult Lexicon. That's actually not a bad hand slot for her.
Maybe.
And it's only a 1 of, so it's not like a crazy commitment. I'm gonna put it in. We'll see if it gets cut.
I feel like she does damage elsewhere.
Probably.
And Survivor, she does nothing. So I'm at 38 cards. Where are you at?
38 as well.
Okay. So,
and 26 experience. So if we're pushing to 29, we can still add 9 experience essentially, because we're probably going to cut one of the attack assets.
mhm.
So moving over to the experience cards. Let's.
Enchanted Blade still makes me just wonder, right? Like, if we're going to include Scroll of Prophecies and Sign Magic, why do we have Enchanted Blade?
I would cut scroll way before I'd cut enchanted blade, but that's just me.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, okay. So let me ask you this question: have you yet used Mystic Enchanted Blade?
Uh, Once, but only because I was trying to.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
I have used
I
Scroll of
love it.
Prophecies in my partner in TFA or TNA many times.
So Enchanted Blade with Akachi is swinging at a 5 no matter what,
Hmm.
and then you build up from there depending on how many charges you use. It comes in with 5 charges, so that's 5 extra damage, so it's basically 5 ammo.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to compress the actions on it, because it's not just like a 45 where you're only shooting 2 damage at a time. If you need to, you can go to 3 damage on a single hit. Whereas with Shriveling, same cost, one less slot for sure, but same cost. You can only ever shoot 2 damage. You might be at like a slightly higher test for some of them if you're at +2 with level 3 Shriveling. But again, it's you're swinging at 6 versus you're swinging at 7. So, mileage may vary. But you could also take a bunch of horror off of Shriveling. So if her hand slots are not terribly contested, which I would argue they are not, because I'll be honest, regardless of whether we take Shriveling or Enchanted Blade, I think Scroll of Prophecies is getting cut. I personally really, really like Enchanted Blade, because then it still sticks around even after its charge is out. You can still swing for 1 damage at a 5 skill test.
What if we cut shards?
Oh, you'd cut shards over Shriveling, huh?
Well, I'm thinking this is standalone, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, shards is, I suppose, really going to depend on your bag, really going to depend on your campaign, really going to depend on how many players you're playing with. I know the theory is that when you're holding a good token in Thrall, it makes the rest of the board less good, and I suppose that's kind of true, but at the end of the day, I think most people are going above their skill tests anyway, so holding a +1 or a 0 in Thrall is not as bad as a lot of people want to make it out to be. But yeah.
The other option is we go to 29 XP. We're at 26 right now.
Mm-hmm.
What do we use for 3 XP?
Well, I mean, I'm fine cutting one or the other. I just think we're divided on which one you cut. I
Hmm.
like Enchanted Blade over level 3 Shriveling in most cases personally.
Hmm.
As long as you're dealing with someone with a decent combat stat.
Thing is, our hand already has 5 things. We got Enchanted Blade at 7. And our Arcane has 7. If you add Enchanted Blade, it's 9.
All right, so let's just cut Scroll of Prophecies then.
But I think Scroll's so good, though.
Yeah, but look at our curve. Our curve, we're so asset heavy, and our curve is like so many 3s. Like, it's gonna get cut.
But Scroll draws cards.
It does. It sure does. Okay, well, here's the deal.
Okay.
Let's continue down our level 0 cards. I don't think we finished that. Did we finish that? No, we didn't finish our XP cards.
No,
If we want to go to 29, we have some extra space.
Okay.
So let's finish that, and then let's start cutting.
Okay. I'll be right back. You make an argument about something.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, it's not much of an argument if you've gone away, but sure. if we end up with 3 experience to spare, I think a cheeky blood pact is fun because it's like at least once per agenda you can just go ham, and if you have opportunities to do other cool things, then great. Um, let's see here. So if we're doing standalone, I'm thinking. God damn. I want that Jacqueline pack to be out so we can get the upgraded recharge. Maybe Time Warp? I do really like Time Warp in multiplayer. As long as you're going to be sticking around people, and as an enemy killer, you generally will be. So I'm throwing in 2 Time Warp for now.
2 Time Warp.
Yeah, so my argument there is that it's great in multiplayer, particularly if you're sticking around other people, which, as an enemy killer, you probably will be. And it's a wild icon.
Fair enough.
No, it's not. It has no icons. Boo.
None.
Boo. Okay.
Okay, let's cut.
We can probably go down to 19, yeah.
We're at 30.
Unless we want to upgrade like the alchemical transmutation. That would be my only other thought to push it up to 29.
I'm at 30 right now, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you have to push up to 29. What did you cut out? Shriveling or shards?
I assume something in that area is going to get cut.
Hmm.
So if we're assuming that, then we have 6 to spare. If we cut the time warps I just added in, then we have even more. Or we can drop down to 19.
19 is pretty low, but also only having 2 random weaknesses is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that said.
Okay. Are we keeping sign magic?
I think sign magic stays in regardless of the other choices we make because we want spell assets.
Are we keeping scroll prophecies?
That's debatable. That is certainly debatable.
Are we keeping occult lexicon?
That can cut, I think.
Okay.
Because we've got damage from so many other places. The only other thing that offers is a little bit of resource acceleration at the cost of draw, which.
Smee Enchanted Blade. Fucks everything up.
I know how much you dislike it. It's fine. You can cut it. I'm not gonna. It's better. It's better than Shriveling level 3 on almost all counts.
I'll build your deck, and then I will rebuild my deck.
It's fine. Fine, I can build my own. That's cool.
Okay. Let's go through skills. Torrent of Power.
Sure.
That's all we have.
Yep.
We
didn't add any neutrals, did we?
No, we didn't. But I'm okay with keeping Torrent of Power.
I definitely like Torrent of Power.
Do we want to add Guts?
That's a good question.
As much as this is a cut, maybe we do add Guts.
Okay, that's fine.
Because it draws cards,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, moving up, Ward Protection, we keep. Uncage the Soul, this is quiche for us.
Mm-hmm.
Time Warp.
I love it, but I can see cutting it.
Yeah, I think we cut it. There we go. I do also love it, but Storm of Spirits, maybe one of?
Yeah, I think at 1 we're probably pretty okay.
Okay.
You'd probably run 2 of if you're for sure playing multi or like 4-player. But that's a variable depending on your player count.
Stargazing.
That's one where like if we've got space, great, leave it in, but it's a pretty easy cut if we don't.
I'm gonna cut it, but I'm gonna say if you're playing
Sure.
4-player, you put it in.
Yeah.
'Cause
Because it's the weird thing with like killers is there are some turns where enemies don't come up, so you got nothing to do. So
mm,
stargazing would be a great thing to just spend an action on. But then there are turns where like 5 enemies come up and you have no time to do anything, and you're like, oh god, I wish this was something other than a stargazing. So
actually, you know what? I'm
it's
gonna
an
keep stargazing in because of that reasoning.
hmm,
Because on the turns you don't need to do anything, you have stargazing. On the
sure.
turns that you have lost to do, stargazing may help.
It is a wild icon.
Okay. Well, I mean, the was it
Well, and
Stars
the
of
effect
Right?
itself, of course.
Yeah. Spectral Razor, keep it in because
Yep.
reasons.
Yep.
Sacrifice, I think is so underrated.
Well, I do too. So here's the deal. I think if we're keeping Scroll of Prophecies and Alchemical Transmutation,
Mm-hmm.
back because
You cut out. Sean
easier to
turned into a
justify
robot.
keep. Oh no!
Say it again.
Am I better now?
Yes. Start all over.
Okay. Okay. So if we're if we're keeping Scroll of Prophecies and Alchemical Transmutation, I think Sacrifice has less of a place. But if we're cutting either of them, then I feel like it should stay.
Let,
Personally,
let's cut it
if it
down to
were
a one of, maybe?
okay, sure, let's start there.
I've been loving Sacrifice though. Like if you
Sacrifice
wanna
is great.
if you wanna fight for two of, I'll take two of.
Okay, so here, if it were me, if it were my deck, and I weren't offering anyone else's opinion, I would cut Scroll of Prophecies and keep Sacrifice. That solves the hand issue. It also takes another 3-cost card out of the deck and another action to play down a thing before you can even use it. I think between Arcane Initiate and Sacrifice, we're going to have decent card draw in this
Okay.
deck.
Cutting Scroll. Scroll of Prophecies is cut.
All right.
Premonition.
I want to keep it in until we have a good reason to cut it. Like,
Fair
if
enough.
it gets really hairy on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to keep it in for now.
Deny. I think we keep it in. We're at the enemy management. We're gonna be taking
Yep.
hits.
Same.
Okay. Enchanted Blade. Let's skip for now. That's something we need to talk about. Um, it would almost bring us down to nothing, but allies thought we have Arcane Initiate and David Redfield, and I think that's an okay juggle. Like
Mm-hmm.
as a high skill floor deck.
Yeah,
We're okay.
because they are solutions for each other depending on the. Well, Renfield's a solution for the initiate,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah. And Initiate is a solution for David when he hits 2 or more Doom.
Yeah, if you're getting real crazy with him. Okay.
Holy Rosary.
Rosary, I think, stays in. That's pretty
Yep.
solid.
Shriveling level 3. This is the point of
So
the
here's the
deck.
deal. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I think you either cut one of Shriveling Shards or Enchanted Blade. I feel like everyone's gonna have a different opinion on which one they like best.
I feel like we keep Shriveling and Shards
Mm-hmm.
and Blade.
Oh, you want to keep all of them? Okay.
I mean, yes,
Okay. That's fine.
because we have Sign Magic.
Sure.
Like if we cut a Sign Magic, we cut maybe one of the spells, but
Sure.
like the point of this deck is to be I want to kill enemies. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then that said, okay, I think we have to get our asset spread down to like
not 18.
17 tops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Republic says sacrifice looks good on paper, but it never works. It's probably worse in Akachi than in any other mystic because spells stay in play longer.
I
You
mean,
don't
I
need to
think
play two of everything. You could cut one. Thing is,
yeah.
like,
So sacrifice, I don't think, particularly in Akachi, you don't need to tie yourself to saying I can't play this until a spell is at 0 charges because you're playing a lot of spells, and sometimes you just need the card draw. If your Mist has 2 charges left on it, you can still sacrifice it and draw 3 cards off of it. Like
hmm.
it's a great flexible draw or resource card.
But also Arcane Initiate and Day of
Mhm.
Renfield.
Right, right, and it's also a great solution for
Enchanted
running
Blade,
Doom.
Holy Rosary. Like, there's a bunch of other ones too. So,
Yeah. So that said, I almost wonder if we can afford to cut the alchemical transmutation. It's only coming in at 4 charges. Like it's 1 cost, great, 4 charges. I
I guess I'm thinking of
think.
Angered Spirits.
Mm-hmm. I think with Angered Spirits, you can still afford to pay from your other things. You're like we're still running 2, 4, 6, 8 charged spells.
Uh,
With alchemical cut.
yeah.
I
Okay.
think it can go. I feel like this is just me, and I've yet to actually test the theory, but I think the upgraded one is worth playing, but the level 0 is just, it's so rough.
Fair enough. Um,
Okay. And then
do we want
we go.
Mists?
Let's go down to 1 of on Mist.
I'm already at one of.
Okay. All right, now let's cut the rest out of our events.
Okay, we have Deny, Premonition, Sacrifice, Spectral Razor, Stargazing, One of Storm, Uncage a Soul, Word Protection.
Gun to my
We
head,
we
like if
also
we're going.
have we also have 2 Guts,
Yeah.
2 Torrent Power. So those there too. Just to let you know.
All right, so like gun to my head, quick shooting from the hip,
Mm-hmm.
cuts would be 2 guts, 2 stargazing. They both have good places. I mean, we're at the last cuts here, so like no matter what we cut, we're gonna miss it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we've got decent card draw again between the initiate and sacrifice. Like if we need to dig for something, we'll be able to. And with stargazing, again, it's that thing. We're like, yeah, there are. Okay, so here's the thing, Scott. Like you bought my argument on sometimes as a killer there are turns where you just sit around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think with this deck, when there are turns that you just sit around, you're using those extra actions to play your assets back down because this is so asset heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my argument.
Okay. I'm at 24 experience, 30 cards. So we need to either up my experience by 5 or drop it by 5. Where are you at?
Right now I'm showing 26.
So I have Sign Magic, Mists, Shards, Shriveling, Holy Rosary, Arcane Initiate, Day of Renfield, Enchanted Blade, Deny, Premonition, Sacrifice, Razor, Spirits, Unquiche.
Oh, I still have stargazing in there. That's the.
Okay.
I haven't fully cut it yet because I was just talking out loud.
I think you cut Stargazing, but
You
also
think
I
Stargazing?
hate cutting Stargazing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So then here's the other thing. Like, if this is intended for standalone particularly like 3 or 4 player standalone, I think I'd cut Deny before Stargate.
But Deny is a 26 experience.
Or, I mean, again, this is just play style dependent. Like any combination of these events is going to get you good results. Or maybe we look at Premonition.
I mean, I feel like Premonition is a bad choice in this deck. Only because this is a deck that's you're taking into 4-player, or as how I saw it, taking into 4-player that's saying, I'm killing all the enemies. So don't worry about me, I'm gonna kill things. And Premonition
so
is very
support cards probably.
Yeah, Premonition is like 2 to 3 player, maybe 1 or like 1 to 3 player. But in 4-player, you just kill stuff.
Sure. That's fine. Premonition is oot.
I'm at 24.
Then you know what we do? I'm at 26 still. What the hell?
Oh,
You gotta do stargazing back in?
Stargazing. 26.
You know what we do with our extra 3 experience?
What do we do?
Fucking Blood Pact, baby. Because at worst, at the end of each agenda, you can go ham. Unless you've got a better idea on how to spend 3 experience, and it doesn't count against our deck size.
I mean, Relic Hunter doesn't matter.
I don't think you want charisma. Like,
no, you actually don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an easy way to spend 3 XP. And you know what? You might not use it. You might use it once a scenario, but it's still really good at the end of each agenda. During the witching hour, this is just go ham mode. And with Akachi, particularly because we kept Enchanted Blade in, both of those skills might get used.
Sorry, what's it called?
Both of those skills, both willpower and combat.
The name of the card.
Oh, Blood Pact.
Blood Pact. Oh, there it is. I'm just blind. Okay. Akachi. Let's spell Akachi. Oh, there it is. Akachi. Fight me deck.
Fight me. All right, beautiful.
Cool.
All right. Well, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Oh God. Oh, sweet summer child of my brain right now. I was just about to ask you, do you like have a meetup upcoming that you could play this at?
Not in person.
Like, oh, no, that's not a thing that happens right now.
I mean, I might take this like two-handed into something, but
Sure.
Hmm.
All right. Well, there you go. Akachi in 60 minutes or so. However long that took.
Whoops.
Well, you know, it happens.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Miskatonic AV Club. I'm Scott. That was Sean. Sean, say bye. Oh,
Bye.
there you go. We'll see you guys on another recording soon. Bye.